And now it's working its way across the bar. Okay, great. All right. All right. I will, Jim. Thanks again. Sorry. No, bye. Okay. I'm supposed to mute something now. Make sure you mute this feed. Mute. Where's the mute button? Bottom left of side slide. This is not. Where did that YouTube go? This is not the one I want. Okay, it is muted. Hello, Jason. I think we're ready to go. You're on mute.
I am on mute. Now I'm not on mute.
Thank you.
Good evening. After some technical difficulties, we are now beginning the scheduled 7 p.m. meeting of the Northborough Groundwater Advisory Committee. I'm Jason Perot, Chairman, and I call to order this April 12th, 2022 meeting of the Northborough Groundwater Advisory Committee. This open meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of June 16, 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream may do so by consulting the link at the top of the posted agenda or by going to the Northborough Town website and looking for the Northborough Remote Meeting button. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation. Unless such participation is required by law, this meeting will not feature public comment. I'd like to now confirm the members of the committee who will be present and participating this evening. I'm Jason Perot, Board of Selectmen and acting as chair. Anthony Zeiton, Planning Board. Here. Teresa Capobianco, Board of Health.
Present.
And Diane Goldner, Conservation Commission. We'll need you to unmute, Diane.
No, I'm here.
There you go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, confirming the presence of staff member, Town Engineer Fred Litchfield.
Here.
Thank you, Fred. The ground rules for the meeting. As chair, I'll invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda to make a presentation and speak to their application. Each speaker will be asked when speaking to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others, please request to do so through the chair. Each vote taken by the committee this evening will be conducted by roll call. And I believe that's all we need to do for the preliminaries. So,
okay, let me bring in the first group. That would be Barry Yakusin, the engineer. Oh, Melanie needs to get in. I'm sorry. Tom Reardon. Oops. Sorry, Vito, I got to put you back in the waiting room. And then Tom. Okay, so Tom, Barry. Hey, Tom, can you hear us? Barry, can you hear us?
Barry, if you can hear us, you're muted. You'd want to unmute.
Oh, Tom is connecting. Hey, Tom, can you hear us now?
I can.
Thank you.
Had some
Yeah.
technical difficulties there.
Yes, that would be on
Yes.
my end. My apologies. Is Barry the only one joining us tonight from your group?
Yes.
Okay, so would you ask, oh, I'm asking him to unmute again so we can hear what he has to say.
There we are.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
For some reason, it
Uh,
keeps coming back as host will not unmute me.
Right.
Well,
I'd
sorry
like to
about that.
just introduce the agenda item. This is to consider the petition of KCB Development LLC for a special permit to construct a new two-family dwelling at 87 and 0 Hudson Street, map 53, parcel 7, and a portion of map 54, parcel 67, located in residential C zoning district and groundwater protection overlay district area 3. The applicant is KCP Development LLC. Representative is Tom Reardon, architect. Tom and Barry, could you just briefly introduce yourselves?
Sure. Tom Reardon with Reardon Company. I am the project architect for this duplex, and Barry's from WDA Design Group.
Very good. Thank you. Tom, why don't you go ahead and present what you'd like to present tonight? We do have a letter from Fred, which I believe you are copied on,
Yes.
with a number of conditions listed. If you have anything preliminary you'd like to do first, that would be fine. And then we can proceed to address some of those items.
Well, the duplex that is proposed is in conformity with the bylaws in terms of area and frontage. And the special permit is required to be reviewed because of its groundwater 3 classification. And if you have any questions regarding the design of the building, I'd be happy to address it. But most of the issues are concerning the handling of the groundwater or the storm and roof drainage on the site. And I turn that over to Barry and let him take you through the design.
Sure.
How you doing?
Hey, Barry.
So as Tom mentioned, we're taking down an existing single residence with a detached garage and plan to put in a duplex with a couple of driveways. And the challenge on this has been that we do increase the impervious area, but I think we've got a design that'll take and allow it treatment and infiltration and meet the Mass DEP guidelines and town's requirements. As a brief scenario, what our plan is all the roof and downspouts, roof surfaces and so forth will be taken down and brought into a couple of dry wells. I believe there's 4, 2 in the back and 2 in the front, which is slightly different than we talked about the other day, Fred. From there, any kind of runoff and surface runoff from the site will collect into either a channel grate at the end of the driveway to eliminate any water running off the property via the driveway, and a couple of lined 4 bays that'll collect stormwater. Take that from the 2 4 bays on either side. Basically, the property is divided in half, just the way the slope and everything is. 2 4 bays on either side of the property. Then that'll be directed to a Vortechnic Hydro Ranger HydroWorks Vortechnic separator, do some treatment for sedimentation, and then from there into the front of the property with some leaching bays. If it does reach overflow on that, then we do have an overflow and outflow directed down the street to a nearby catch basin. And I think that's the general gist of the stormwater on this particular site.
Barry, do you want to share your screen and show the plan? So the committee can see what you're talking about, where the
Sure.
infiltration chambers are and the overflow drain?
I think I can pull that up. Uh,
I like your backdrop, Barry.
That's high tech. It was on there. That
Are you
one.
looking for the diagram that we received in our packet?
Yeah.
Why don't I try bringing that up?
Okay, that'd be probably easier at the moment.
Yep. How is that? Is that visible?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
So Barry, you want to just explain
Yep.
where everything is, and
Yes,
this is the original plan that you submitted with your application more recently, but then today there was a revised plan, so there's a new revision date.
Correct. Does my cursor move on your screen?
It does not.
Okay.
No.
So I'll start in the back. You'll see on the back left-hand side. Yep, I see your cursor moving. Come down a little bit, right there, right in the middle. You'll see to the left.
Yeah.
Yep, up just a little bit.
That circle right there, right there.
Yep,
Right there.
that's a
Yep.
detention basin. That'll take all the roof drainage from the back of the house.
That's a dry well for the
That's
roof
a dry
runoff?
well.
Not
Yep,
a- Okay,
that's a dry well. And then on the complete opposite side, there's another one.
Yep.
And then we propose on the updated plan, if you come to the front of the house and slightly to the right, there will be, yep, right around there. We plan to put another one to collect that side of the house front and including the porch and so forth. And there'll be one on the opposite side of the house. Yep, right there. With overflows on that going into the forebay, and anything from the driveway on the left-hand side that runs down the road or runs off the driveway, which will be pitched toward that side, will go into the forebay. And then out of that forebay, you'll see about little more than halfway on the right-hand side. There's a drain line that comes out, go down a little bit. Yep, there's a drain line there too. And those all go to the middle of the property where there's a circle. If you move your cursor again, go left. For a little further right, you'll see just above the 6 chambers. There's a, yep, right there. That's a stormwater vortechnic treatment unit. And what we did different on this, the revised drawing, is we took those 6 infiltration chambers and we slid them over to the right toward the right-hand driveway and took the, those are 2 straight lines going in, or the water service. We came off the water main perpendicular, but a little further toward unit 1 on the left-hand side to give us a little bit more room. And through the vortechnic units, it'll go into the vortechnic and straight out, and then hit one side of the chambers, and then flow through those particular chambers and infiltrate. And then there's a high water outlet. If you move your cursor again so I can see it. Yeah, right around that where you were, it'll come out to the street and follow a 12-inch line all the way down to the right-hand side. Beyond the property, there's a catch basin underneath all the words, notes and stuff, a little further to the right. A little further, right there. There's a, yep,
Got it.
that's a town existing catch basin that will tie into for overflow. We don't expect much flow coming out of that to that after going through all this treatment and so forth. One of the comments Fred had, which is a good one, we did add on the right-hand property line, you'll see the drainage or the grading contours go beyond the property. The same owner currently owns both properties and will own both properties when this is constructed, hopefully. And we'll do a temporary easement for that. And then for the drainage, we will do a permanent easement so they can maintain the that drain line coming across.
So,
Do we want to continue with the diagram, or do we want to go to the letter from Fred?
I might as well go to letter for Fred. If you want, I can buzz on through most of that.
Is that visible to everybody?
Yes.
There you go. So item one, which is a statement. We've got the calculations. We'll finish those things up with these most recent changes, and we will provide the statement of compliance for the section 707-10D 4A5 analysis. We acknowledge that the zoning bylaws contain more than 20,000 square feet and so forth. That's fine. The impervious cover appears to be greater than 50%, which is true. And we have provided Fred initial calculations of that. And we'll get that back with this whole package back to him shortly.
Barry, can you just confirm that the plan that you showed with the 4 dry wells, that captures all of the roof runoff?
That captures all of the roof runoff.
Okay.
And there is a note on the drawings that shall say, it does say, all roof runoff shall be directed into roof leaders, directed into one of the 4 dry wells.
All right, so we just need to make sure your plans and Tom's architectural plans are synced up when they go to the building inspector.
Correct.
Okay.
I think that should be fine. We did increase the tracking pad. This is item 4. We increased the tracking pad to 50 feet. On this drawing, this project, we did have the 2 driveways. We will have the 2 driveways extending 50 feet up, and we do have the detail indicating that. Why 2 driveways into the property? It's just, I think by the time they start constructing the project, and doing all the finish work and so forth for building and site work, they'll end up using the 2 entrances. And it's better to have both of them there, I feel, just in case. Then all of a sudden you bring a load of wood up on the right-hand side and they don't have it. And then we get into a bigger match. So we decided to go with that routine. I hope that's acceptable. The driveway section, we did modify. We did show that it's a bituminous, complete bituminous. I think when Fred saw it last, it was concrete initially, then transitioned to bituminous, but it is complete bituminous. And we did put in the trench drain as part of that detail to show the contractors that it is to go in the backside of that the lip for the apron. Again, you'll get the number 6, you'll get the updated impervious cover calculations with the minimum of 28,489 square feet of required recharge. And I believe with all the roof sedimentation or the dry wells and so forth, and all the infiltration chambers, we have no problem meeting those the infiltration. The dry wells, as talking with Fred, they typically aren't designed. The system, the overall property system, will be designed to meet the 100-year storm, but each individual dry well would be way too big to take the 100-year storm. So we've designed those things for the 25-year, 24-hour event, and you'll see the calculations on those on the in our stormwater report.
I just wanted to point out to the committee that because the dry wells are designed for a 25-year storm, if there's a storm larger than that, then the water will flow by gravity into the forebay and then ultimately into the infiltration system. So it will be captured. It won't be running off, but the 25-foot storm is adequate in order to give them the credit for recharge and ultimately getting back below the 15% impervious cover limit that they have exceeded.
Thank you, Fred. That's good. The detail for the tracking pad and erosion control barrier are on the drawings. Number 9, the grass swale indicates the width varies. That one I have a question on. Do you want throughout the whole line what the varying width is? Or basically it's a 2-foot swale. We don't have much room to make it wider or narrower or anything like that. So
there's no, the detail on the plan says to see the plan for the width, but then there's no acknowledgement that there's what the width is.
okay.
So it just a couple of dotted lines indicating that it's a 2-foot wide swale from point A to point B would be appropriate, so that when they go to grade it in the field and we can see where the water's being carried to.
That makes sense. Thank you. The slope on the driveway we'll look at. I believe we had, I think it's just one of the curves coming up the side. It gets a little on the steeper side on the inside of the curve, but the average of the driveway should meet the criteria of the town. But we'll double check that and make sure that's in there. We did add a note for the old driveway to be removed and replaced with loam and seating. Number 13, the site plan and landscape architecture plan, rim and elevations are on the drawing now. Item 14, the proposed infiltration equipment that discharges to show it's not discharging via the road. It's got a capture with a channel drain, and as I mentioned before, there is an easement that will be taken on that. Item 15, recharge chambers. We have, as I mentioned before, we addressed that with relocating the stormwater treatment unit and bringing the water in one end, out the other. Actually shortens the line on the discharge, which works out pretty well. And item 16, we recognize that they do extend beyond the property line for the regrading, and we will put a temporary easement on that. The number 17, depending on the type of ownership and the unit, I don't know the unit ownership and how that's going to play out at this particular moment. I would assume at the moment that any kind of treatment, operation and maintenance and so forth would be split 50-50 amongst the owners. It's just off the top of my head. So
We just need to clarify that, how it's going to be maintained, who's going to be responsible. Be some kind of document.
okay. Would that be a document that's within their purchases and sales agreement as official from the town of Northborough as thou shalt amend the stormwater requirements. Is that the kind of document you're looking for? Or?
I'm looking for, if it's going to be in the purchase and sale agreement, then some kind of a draft that the planning board can ultimately review and find if it's acceptable or not, just so that it clarifies who's responsible for what. It should be part of the operation and maintenance plan. If each unit is responsible for everything on their side of the lot, that's fine. It just needs to be memorialized.
Yep. Okay. Tom, can you help me out with that?
I think initially, the developer will be the sole owner. And at some point, if they either rent or sell, then they will produce a document that maybe creates a condominium for the maintenance of the system. Because, you know, your recharge chambers are on the right side, and that's shared. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to work that out.
Yeah.
Right. And item 18, we're in progress of trying to get somebody there. Probably will be somebody familiar, Jerry Buznowski, to do the permeability tests and so forth that we need to do in all the infiltration locations, 2, 4, 6 locations or thereabouts. So
Okay.
I suspect in the next month, we should have that completed and updated information to you, Fred.
Okay.
And along with that same idea permeability test, they'll also confirm the seasonal high groundwater.
Okay.
In the stormwater report, you will have a operation and maintenance and long-term plan, pollution plan. I believe you've seen probably a draft on that in previous versions that we've sent you, Fred.
Yep.
And obviously 21 and 22 are no problem. We'll produce the final set of plans, verifying all the approvals that you folks and planning board down the line will give us, and definitely give you record as-built of the project as it comes through, finishes up.
You're on the agenda for the planning board next week on Tuesday?
I believe so.
Okay. Okay. You can take the letter down now if you like. Thank you. It appears as though they've addressed most, if not all, of the concerns I had in my letter, but I guess at this point, if the committee has any questions in particular about the site, I think that would be appropriate now, and see how you want to go.
Okay. Members, Diane Guldner, I'll just check in with you first since you're not on video. Do you have any questions at this time?
A comment more than a question. I noticed they were going to put in like a, seemed like a loose stone path or pathway of something like that we pounded down. I'm not overly in favor of that because those things slip and slide so much. I much prefer to have a more solid substance if that's possible. And the other question I have, I know that you said that there was as water drains off the property in a more severe storm, it would hit the road and go to the catch basin. Or is that right? Did I misunderstand?
Yeah, it should hit the channel drain or one of the other structures, the 4-bay, the line 4 bays, before even entering the road. It shouldn't enter the road. We've designed it so that it doesn't enter the road per multiple requests.
I suppose I'm asking the wrong question or making the wrong comment, but future says that we're going to have a different weather and climate situation, and whether this would need to be addressed at that time or now. Maybe having a little bit wiggle room there. That's really my question. So that if there was a superstorm, you're not swimming down Hudson Street.
I guess I'm not sure what you're asking for, Diane. Are you,
And what I'm asking is that if there's a superstorm, something beyond what is the 100-year storm, and there's a super overflow of water or non-containment of water, are there any plans to think about that now while they have things all open and can do it, or just hope and pray in the future things will be okay?
what I had recommended and what they added to the plan was an overflow pipe. The infiltration chamber in front of the duplex in the property between the road and the house is designed to carry the 100-year storm.
Okay,
And then there's an overflow. If there's a storm event larger than a 100-year storm, then there's an overflow pipe that leaves that infiltration system, goes by gravity through the drainage that they're extending 100 feet or so, maybe 150 feet to the north, and tie into a catch basin that's in Hudson Street now, the town storm sewer. So it's designed to handle not just the 100-year storm, but anything beyond that would still flow into the pipe, provided that, you know, all of Hudson Street's not flooded. It should take care of that.
okay, thank you.
And what was your other question about the stone pad that
The
you thought was not
pathways.
substantial? The pathway?
The pathways into the house.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
just, it's a personal preference. I just don't like stone that rolls or you can stub your toe on. I'd much rather have a more permanent pathway.
I think it's called for right now is a compacted pea stone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So I was just thinking that. I know it compacts down, but it also rolls around at points. That's all I'm just thinking of.
Is there a reason that it's not like a brick walk or something, Barry, or?
I don't know, that got there before my time, and for some reason I thought it was a suggestion. I thought by somebody in the town when our landscape architecture addressed that. So maybe Tom might have an answer. Were you before? Tom?
Yeah.
I think also the other criteria was trying just to limit the amount of impervious surface. So if we could go to something else.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm asking the question just to see if is a possible answer.
Yes, sorry. So that's the 3-foot stone walk that goes from the driveway up to the front door of each half.
Right.
Back on, okay. Sorry.
And did you take that into account for your impervious cover calculation?
Yes, on the one from the bottom of the driveway up, but we did not for the at least I don't think we did for the ones from the top of the driveway into the porch on the sides.
Oh, I see.
I'll double check, because the pea stone versus the other one's called out as a stone walkway, so a little more compacted and larger. And I believe we did take that driveway into consideration.
Well, if you have enough room in under your 15% increase in impervious cover to include that as a brick pathway, because once it's packed down, it's basically impervious anyway. So you might as well, if the client is willing to do it, you might as well consider that impervious and then make it something more substantial. The pea stone doesn't necessarily seem like a great idea, but it's not really within the realm of what we're here to look at. I believe that Diane's just trying to make a suggestion from her personal history.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions, Diane?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anthony, would you like to ask any questions?
I don't have any questions, thanks.
Okay, and Teresa Capabianco.
No, thank you. I think it was really well explained, and the infiltration process, I think, makes sense for what they're trying to do there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything further, or are we just trying to make a determination now, Fred, about whether we're comfortable that all of the conditions are being addressed, will be addressed and reviewed by you, or if the committee would prefer to see a revision back before us to verify for ourselves that everything that's been presented here is in fact been addressed in the design.
I believe that's the issue at this point. Like I said, there was a lot of things in the letter. Barry went through the letter. They did send a revised set of plans this afternoon. I did not get a chance to look at it, so I have not confirmed everything. But if everything as he says, there will be a few conditions that will carry forward about the as-built plans, permeability tests, things like that. I do want to make sure the operation and maintenance plan not only it specifies what's going to be done in terms of operation and maintenance, but also ownership. And if the applicant is going to own the property and then rent it, he'll be responsible. We just need to make sure that there's a appropriate way to split or cost sharing for the maintenance going forward, so that one side is not made to bear the brunt of the entire cost, and then ultimately nothing gets done. So we just need to make sure that's all clear, that's all. So it really comes down to what the committee feels like doing. If you want them back, we have them back. Where our next meeting would be on May 10th.
Mhm. Actually, May 10th is election day, I believe.
It is election day, yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Committee members, I'm just going to ask what your sense is. Are you comfortable moving forward with this, subject to the town engineer's review and approval of any outstanding conditions? Or would you prefer to see this come back to us with everything buttoned up? Anthony? Any
I'd be
preference?
comfortable with moving forward as, based on Fred reviewing everything as discussed and agreed
Okay.
upon.
Teresa, how about you?
The same. I'd be comfortable with Fred taking care of it.
Okay, and Diane?
The same.
Okay, any final remaining questions or anything concerning this application? Seeing none. I need somebody to construct a motion.
I move that we accept this plan with its conditions and corrections and move forward at this point for a vote.
Okay, subject to the town engineer's review and approval of
Yes.
the issues identified this evening, and with any remaining conditions that need to be recommended to the planning board for their consideration. Is that right? Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. Moved by Diane Goldner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Diane Goldner, seconded by Teresa Capabianco. This is a roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Anthony Zeiton.
Aye.
Teresa Capabianco,
Yes.
and I, Jason Perot, also vote yes. So that is approved.
Okay, so I will confirm everything's been done, and anything that's not been addressed will remain as a condition of recommendation by this committee to the planning board. Okay,
Yes.
all right. Just
Perfect.
so long as I'm clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
good evening.
Right.
This is what it looks like.
There it is.
Oh, that's nice.
That looks beautiful, Tom.
Very nice.
I
Very
like black
nice,
and
Tom.
white.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right.
welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, so the next hearing is in regards to 200 Bartlett Street. And there are a number of people here that want to come in, and I will bring them in now. They've been waiting patiently. So here's Dario, here's Paula, here's Rick Gates, and Vito Colonna. All right. Paula.
The next item on our agenda is to consider the petition of RJ Devereaux Corporation for a special permit for an industrial use on the property located at 200 Bartlett Street, map 66, parcel 7, in the Industrial Zoning District and Groundwater Overlay District Area 3. Applicants, I wonder if you could just briefly introduce yourselves. I'll start with Paula. I'm sorry, Paula, you're
Yeah, I'm
muted.
muted. Yeah, my name is Paula Devereaux. I'm an attorney at Pierce Atwood, and I'm here representing the Robert J. Devereaux Corporation. And there are a few people with me, so I'll go to Rick Gates now.
Hi, my name is Rick Gates. I'm the supervisor for our RJ Devereaux Corporation and in charge of this project.
Thank you. Dario?
Dario Demaro, the architect for the project.
Thank you. And Vito?
And I'm Vito Colonna, the civil engineer for the project.
Thank you very much. Fred, if you would, perhaps you could just briefly summarize the circumstances for this this meeting?
I can, and I will. As you must remember that this application, this property has been before you a couple of times, I think. It's not new to anyone, I don't suspect at this point. The Groundwater Committee recommended to the ZBA that they grant a variance for the use, basically because what they were proposing and the way the site was designed was an improvement to what's out there now. And the variance was granted last few months ago, last winter. I forget the date. As a result, they then went and filed an application for site plan approval with a couple of special permits along the way, a special permit for a contractor's yard in the industrial district, special permit, site plan approval. And the question came up at the planning board meeting that they probably also need a special permit for groundwater. And although my understanding, and not being an attorney, I stand corrected, was that the variance was, I thought the variance covered everything in terms of the groundwater aspects of the control on this site. However, town council has weighed in, and I have shared with you all his email to me outlining his reasoning and his findings and his determination that the variance was not appropriately granted to the groundwater 3 portion of this property because contractor's yard and this use is allowed by special permit, and therefore it's not appropriate for them to vary something that is allowed by special permit. So he recommended that they file an application for a special permit. They have not changed the plans. The plans are exactly the same as had been presented to the planning board. And I believe they're almost completely the same as what came to you at the time they were looking for your support for the variance last winter. So that's why my letter indicates that pretty much everything is the same, that I recommend that you all recommend the same conditions that were appropriate to the ZBA to include in the variance. And they would be included in the special permit for this site on the groundwater 3 portion of this site, which is really where the hazardous material, everyone has agreed to only store hazardous material, do that portion of the operation on the groundwater 3 portion of the site, which is pretty much half and half. They have, like I said, the site plan's the same, so we really don't need to rehash it. But if there's anything that the committee feels wasn't addressed the first time around with the variance request, now would be the time to enhance those conditions and make sure that they're applicable to the groundwater 3 portion of this site when the planning board hears the special permit application at their next meeting. I think that's
Very
it.
good. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. So predominantly, we're just here to make a recommendation to serve a technical correction for the procedural part of this, or the with respect to what application or what kind of approval is being sought.
Yes, but
Yep.
given that, if there's something that the committee feels wasn't addressed during the variance process, now would be the time to enhance any conditions or elaborate on those if you have any. I personally do not. I think the site's, like I said before, I believe it's an improvement. It's been to the Conservation Commission. They've received an order of conditions. It's an improvement in so many ways that it's appropriate to approve it. But if there is something in particular that either the committee thinks I missed or somewhere else along the way we missed, now would be the time to discuss it.
Got it. So I'll ask the committee members first. Committee members, do you have any information that you need beyond what you've already heard about this project from past meetings? I'll ask you first, Diane.
Not I.
And Anthony?
Yeah, and I maybe directed towards Fred. There was a discussion, if I recall, and if I got it correct, that there was going to be some potential digging or for training purposes, where they'd be burying pipes and then going and opening it up. And there was some question about that, where the positioning or placement of where they were going to do that should be moved. Has that been addressed?
Well, actually, the more I thought about it, there's not necessarily a groundwater issue there. It's a matter of a testing process that Devereaux goes through with their employees on making sure that they're adequately able to dig a hole with the backhoe, that they are, also getting hydraulic licenses to operate. So like a practice round. But there's no hazardous material involved in that. I did approach Rick Gates with the potential concern for that. The more I thought about it, the more I think it's not really a groundwater hazard. He had agreed to potentially move it out of the groundwater 1 area onto the groundwater 3 side of the site, or perhaps put a cover over it. Either way, if there was anything that could happen during a rainfall event while they were, if machinery broke a hose or something, it could easily be addressed. Personally, the more I thought about it, the more I didn't think it was something that needed to be modified. But if the committee wants to discuss that and ask for either a roof over that area or a relocation of that area to a different part of the site that's not in groundwater 1, now would be the time to discuss
that. Maybe Rick, could you speak to that and give us a little more detail?
Certainly. So the area in question is just out of training area. And we're going to be basically, for a very short period of time, hour or two, digging, just probing in and around fake pipes we're going to bury. And then we're going to fill it back in and asphalt it again. Realistically, we're looking at maybe a dozen times a year, maybe as many as 15 times a year doing it, because we're going to have several people training all at the same time. So it's not going to be very often we're going to do it. And, if it is a concern, like Fred said, more than happy to move it over to the groundwater 3 or put a cover over it, whatever you guys find appropriate. It's no different than what we're doing in the street. So I'm not concerned with having any kind of an issue with contaminants whatsoever. But that's up to you guys. You're the town, you're the governing body. So if you feel it's appropriate, we'll act whatever way we need to in order to satisfy the needs of the town.
Okay, thank you. Anthony, do you have any preference or anything you'd like to suggest in that regard?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like to take Fred's lead on this, but I do think like if you are opening up the pavement, and so now we're just kind of taking it on trust that that's only going to be for a few hours and it's going to be repaved. I guess where I'm thinking is what happens if there was a fuel spill or something like that. At least with that pavement, intact, things would be contained. Or if that were still open, I mean, I know this is kind of stretching here, but just the only concern I'm voicing.
I mean, I don't recall that aspect of training being discussed previously when we were in our meetings here. I think there was some notion of training of personnel, but I understood that to be like indoor, instructional training or whatever, not something that was actually simulated site operations, I guess is the way I would describe it, or the way I understand it. Teresa, any opinion?
You mean on this particular matter?
Yeah.
No, I know, and recalling the prior days that we spent on this matter, I'm good with what I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess in this regard for the training aspect, I guess I wonder what preparations, precautions, defensive, preparations would be could be put in place when these training operations are conducted. So to address Anthony's point, if there happens to be some kind of fuel spill or something like that while the pavement is breached, that there's some way to try to minimize anything that would happen in that regard. Yes, Mr. Gates.
We carry with all our crew spill kits. That will definitely be a part of the whole training, because that's part of the training. So anything along those lines will be done. The equipment there will be right next to our maintenance facility, so everything would be up to snuff, as far as making sure it's not an older piece of equipment that may have a leak. But we will have all those different situations covered, if you will. Maintenance facility is there. We're going to have protection in that facility as well. So we're very confident that this will be ready for really anything that might rear its ugly head, however improbable.
Just jump in a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, Jason.
Sure, Fred.
Rick, I assume that the training that your employees go through before actually getting into the backhoe and digging a hole involves an inspection of the hoses on the backhoe, and that the chance of a potential leak is detected prior to them starting work, even if it doesn't happen at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're out on a site and an emergency. It would happen during your training process, I assume. So
yes, I failed to mention that that aspect of, we do it all the time, but that's exactly correct. One of the things is the walk around. So they'll be checking the equipment 100%. That's part of it.
So in my mind, again, I'm okay with it, because they're basically digging a hole, putting some pipes in the ground and backfilling it, and then I guess they're going to pave it. You pave it. You don't pave it and then dig it up the next day. You pave it until the next time a training exercise has to happen. So
that's correct, and that would be weeks, potentially months later. And like I say, there's probably going to be half a dozen guys, maybe as many as 10 people, taking turns, and really not going to be digging or installing anything. It's just really digging around, a potential hazard, that kind of thing, and really a lot of it's going to be shoveling and detecting things. Just so they have an idea of that, and a lot of it has to do with running the equipment, the small equipment, on backfilling, cleaning up, and how to prep properly for pavement, so that we don't have any settling out in the street, that kind of thing. So, it's going to be a short form of what they're going to do out in the street, but just hit all the high points. And like you say, one of them is going to be making sure the equipment works properly, make sure, it's prepped properly for paving and all that.
So given that, I really don't have a concern from a groundwater standpoint, but if the committee would feel more comfortable, I think that the Devereaux folks have agreed that they would be willing to move it out of the groundwater 1 area and into the groundwater 3 area, would be closer to the maintenance building. Right now, it's a little bit east of Lamy Automotive, a little bit to the side there. But if the committee is more comfortable, I don't think a roof really accomplishes anything. I don't think I think their training exercise needs to be in real world conditions. So a roof is not something they're going to have out in the street. So I don't think a roof is really going to benefit the groundwater any. But if the committee feels more comfortable and wants to request that they move it, I'm sure they could find another spot within the property outside the groundwater 1 area. But again, I think the risk to the groundwater is fairly small, but it's something for the committee. That's the only question that I would raise for you.
Yeah. Would one of you be able to share a plan and kind of illustrate where it's proposed to be in groundwater 1 and where it potentially could be moved to in groundwater 3?
Okay, so.
Mute my screen. I'll put it back up. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, it had been proposed down in this area. So the groundwater 1 and 3 line runs through the site, kind of right here. So they had their training area down in here. So I know that they were looking at potentially an option. You could move it over in this location up in here.
That's got adequate surrounding clearance, I guess, for the kind of operation you would be doing for training.
Yep. Yeah. So, it's not too close to everything down here. It's kind of remote. So I think they kind of liked that. It was a little bit away from a few things. And they had their equipment storage a little closer to the building. But there are options, obviously, to move that if the board would feel more comfortable.
So in the event that you were to move the mock training area to the equipment parking area, would those vehicles that are parked there be completely relocated, or would it be just take a couple of those parking spaces away and put the training there?
It might be a combination, but would have to take some of these and put them down here. So the overall pavement impervious would stay about the same. We just might put this over there and then take those and push them back down here.
But it's
the
not.
Overall site area would remain essentially the same.
And the operation stays the same.
Yep.
Either way is fine by me. To the committee.
Right. Let me poll the committee members. Diane Goldner, do you have a preference?
I'd like to see it moved up if it's possible into 3.
Okay. Thank you. Anthony Zeiton?
I think it would make sense to move it up out of groundwater 1, if possible.
And Teresa Capabianco?
Groundwater 3, I think would be better.
And I'm going to make it unanimous. I think we'd rather see that on the groundwater 3 side, just for that extra measure of protection or guard against any particular adverse thing that might occur, even if it's unlikely to occur.
Okay. That's fine. I can certainly put that in a memo once we get to the conclusion of the discussion, if there's anything else.
Great. Members, any other concerns or considerations for this? Diane, anything else?
Nothing that I can think of now.
Thank you. Anthony, anything else?
Nothing more.
And Teresa?
No, thank you.
Okay, I'm satisfied as well. So I think we just want to make a recommendation. This is a special permit we're referring to now, Fred?
Yes. So the letter that I drafted for all of you kind of explained why they're here, but then
Yep.
I recommended that you transfer all conditions that we had sent to the ZBA to the planning board to include in their special permit for the groundwater, so that it really is, it's not missed on either side of the property. I acknowledge that they may have made some of the comments, taken some of the comments from the original letter to the variance into account with their site plan that they submitted, but I'm using the belts and suspenders kind of approach, so.
Sure, sure.
But the list of chemicals and the way it's stored has not changed. I did confirm.
Right. In that case, do I have a motion to convey to the special permit granting authority that if the application is approved, the following conditions be imposed? Said conditions to be the conditions previously specified for the variance application, and additionally adding a condition for the location of the on-site simulated training operations.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa Capobianco. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second.
Moved by Teresa Capobianco, seconded by Diane Goldner, and this is a roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
yes.
Anthony Zeiton,
Aye.
Teresa Capobianco,
Yes.
and I, Jason Perot, also vote aye. And so that is approved. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate you
guys.
being here this evening.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
patience in the
Thank you.
waiting room.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks,
night.
guys. Have a good night.
Night.
Good night.
You know, I sent the agenda and the memo earlier today and yesterday to Marshall, but I do not see them in the waiting room or as
Oh, really? Yeah.
participants. So I'm beginning to wonder if he got it. It's not like Marshall to not be here.
Very rare. Yeah.
I've been talking to Fred, this is Vito.
Oh,
I've
hi,
been talking
Vito.
to Marshall about it. He didn't say anything to me about the meeting tonight. So he's kind of been asking us for input on the meetings and the plans and everything.
Are you able to speak for them?
Sure. I know all the plans. It's essentially that, the plans haven't changed since the original. But I haven't been dealing with the applicant themselves directly, so I probably can't represent them technically because I haven't really spoke to the applicants directly.
The application as submitted by Marshall did not include any changes. Just a document that explained that the Wheelers wanted to sell. They have an agreement with 5 Goddard LLC, which is a home heating and cooling company, also a contractor. They did not indicate a change in any way, shape, or form of the toxic or hazardous materials to be stored on site or how they would be stored. So my letter recommends that that you, I guess, recommend if they were to approve the project, that they include all the same conditions that were put on the original decision for the special permit. Nothing, as far as I can see, I believe there may be less. There may not be any chemicals, but because there was a special permit that allowed, I think, 66 gallons worth of various chemicals, antifreeze and things like that, that you might find in the vehicles that they use at the new proposed business, that they should still have the ability to have those on site and store them in the same fashion that was previously approved. All the safeguards are there, but nothing else has been offered to reduce or increase the amount of potential contaminants. So I don't see any reason why the committee couldn't recommend approval if the planning board is of a mind to do so. Suppose we should probably make mention that the applicant wasn't in attendance at tonight's meeting. And if they take exception to that, they could clearly come back at our next meeting, and then we could have a more fruitful discussion if there was something that they're planning to that wasn't expressed in the application.
Are they scheduled to be before the planning board?
I believe they're scheduled
Upcoming?
for May 3rd, which would be before your next meeting.
Okay. Opinions of the committee members about how you would like to proceed in this circumstance? Diane Goldner?
I guess it would be all right to move forward. I'm a little tentative about it. Because I know Marshall would be here if he had been, for whatever reason, he would still be here. I think I'm too tentative to follow through on it. So I'm going to vote no.
Okay, thank you. Anthony?
Based on my understanding, and Fred, if you can comment, is everything is essentially staying the same. Just basically we're transferring the permit from one owner to another, but the conditions on site aren't changing. So, honestly, I'd go with what the board is comfortable with, but I wouldn't have a problem with moving forward.
Thank you, Anthony. Teresa Capabianco?
I don't have a problem moving forward with this tonight. I'm looking at Marshall's letter and he explained in detail what is there with the current owner versus what will be there with the precision heating and cooling. And it's certainly, I have no reason to doubt that representations of council are anything but accurate. So, or as accurate as they can be. So I would feel comfortable moving forward tonight based on the documentation submitted to us.
Thank you. In referring to that letter, yeah, the sense I have is that the conditions are essentially unchanged, and if anything from the description, the extent or intensity of the usage of the site is perhaps reduced compared to the original applicant. So I think I would feel comfortable with those considerations in mind of moving forward with perhaps the acknowledgement that if the applicant, for whatever reason, wants to come back before us because of some additional consideration that needs to be understood and addressed, then we're certainly open to doing that. Okay. So I'm sorry. We are. I apologize. Fred, exactly what are we doing here? Are we recommending to a special granting permit authority, special permit granting authority, anything in particular?
I'm not quite sure exactly how to word it, except that the application is for a modification of the existing special permit with site plan approval for 5 Goddard Road. And the only thing that they're asking to be modified is the ownership would no longer be LH Wheeler, but now be 5 Goddard LLC, which is managed by Timothy Matatall, manager of Precision Heating and Cooling. So effectively, it's just a change in ownership is the way I've read the application, all the information that Marshall has submitted. They're not asking for a reduction or an increase in any chemical storage, no change in that regard whatsoever. So recommending, I guess you would be recommending approval of the change of ownership only with no other modifications to the permit.
Yes, agreed. So do we have a motion to that effect?
So it would be a motion recommending that they approve the request to modify the special permit insofar as to change the ownership of the property.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay, so moved.
With no changes to the conditions previously approved.
Right.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Teresa Capabianco, seconded by Anthony Zeiton. This is a roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
No.
Anthony Zaitin,
Aye.
Teresa Capabianco, and Jason Perot is an aye. So it carries 3 in favor, 1 opposed. And I think that takes care of that. Fred, you'll convey that.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Vito.
Thank you.
Good
I'll let
night.
Marshall know.
Yes.
Night.
I'm sure I'll talk to Marshall tomorrow and find out that his email crashed or something today. So,
Yeah, I was just trying to call him, but
apologize to me for the late delay in getting him that memo and the agenda apparently. So, but again, if he has anything, if he feels he needs to come back, he can
Okay.
say that at the planning board meeting, and then we'll meet again.
all right, sounds good. All right, thank you.
Okay, take care. And on to old and new business. The next item is the review and approve minutes of January 20, 2022. We have copies of the minutes in our packet. Do I have a motion? Sorry, Teresa, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I would make a motion to approve the minutes of January 20, 2022.
And do I have a second?
Second it.
Moved by Teresa Capabianco, seconded by Diane Goldner. Any discussion? Hearing none. This is a roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Anthony Zaitin,
Aye.
Teresa Capabianco. Sorry, couldn't hear you, Teresa. I don't know why, but I still can't hear you, Teresa.
I don't know why either.
There you go.
There it is.
Yes.
And I, Jason Perot, am a yes, so approval of minutes carries unanimously. The next item, I don't know how the rest of the committee feels about this one. Consideration of phrasing of the committee's recommendations to special permit granting authorities. Frankly, it's been an exhausting 2 weeks for me, and I just can't think straight anymore. So if there's no objection by the committee, or if the committee wants to proceed and make their recommendations on this, that's great. Otherwise, I'm happy to pass over it tonight.
I'd make a motion to pass over it if we need a motion.
Pass over. Okay. I don't think we need a motion, just by agreement. Diane, you don't have any objection to skipping
No,
this?
no problem.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Next item is annual town meeting, April 25, 2022, 6 p.m. at Algonquin Regional High School. I'm not sure that there's anything that this committee needs to do in that regard, other than be aware of it. Please attend, right?
Yep. Indoors, back again at night.
Indoors. Well, we'll see. There's still
Well,
another couple of weeks here to,
That's true.
yeah,
That's
anything can happen.
Well, at least we
And,
know it won't get called for rain.
That's right. And discuss next meeting date, May 9th, 2022, if necessary. That's an incorrect date, right? The 9th is.
You know what?
Monday.
That is correct. It is going to be May 10th, which would be the second Tuesday in May.
Okay. So on the agenda here, we have it listed as May 9.
Actually,
But that's-
May 10th, my bad.
It's actually May 10, right? Got it.
Does the committee have a problem meeting on that election night? It's not inappropriate from a legal standpoint, but if you're all busy, I can appreciate we could try to move it. Although I have to warn you, scheduling your meetings is a little tricky where you all sit on other boards. But
Right.
I will venture to work around that if necessary. So don't let that be the overriding factor.
Right.
Sorry, Teresa.
I'm sorry. Board of Health is meeting at 6 on that. So we're planning to be there.
Okay. Anthony, how about you? What's your preference?
I'm fine with it.
You're okay to meet that night if necessary?
Yes.
Okay. Diane, how about you?
That's fine with me.
Okay, it's fine with me too.
I will
so we
throw
can-
out there, sorry to interrupt, Jason. I'm
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
I will throw out that I'm not aware of any applications at this point, so.
Right.
Did you keep your fingers crossed on that?
I will not make any promises, nor will I hold my breath. but I will keep my fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Okay. Very good. So May 10th, tentatively, if we have applications before us and indication by the members present tonight that they are available to meet at that time. And that would be a 7 p.m. meeting in consideration of the Board of Health 6 p.m. meeting
That's
preceding.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Got it. Anything further for this meeting?
No, just thank you all for your patience at the beginning of the meeting. My Zoom skills are woefully underdeveloped.
Right. No problem.
Okay.
If there's nothing more, is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move that we adjourn.
And second?
Second.
Moved by Diane Goldner, seconded by Teresa Capabianco. This is a roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Anthony Zeiton,
Aye.
Teresa Capabianco,
Aye.
and I, Jason Perot, vote aye. So we are adjourned. Thank you all this evening. And Fred, thank you very much for your assistance.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
You're welcome.
And-
Thank you all for your
And
patience.
to you too, Melanie Rich. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.